Starting, we're live. What up? What is up? What's up, guys? It's the MMA Realist here. I'm late as hell with this video. I promised you guys I was supposed to do this video last week, but things come up and things happen where I just couldn't do it. It's Christmas Eve, and if I stay on live long enough, we might run into Christmas while I'm doing this UFC 232 predictions. I'm pretty much going to do the main card, but I'll actually briefly touch on some fights on the prelims and maybe the fight pass prelims. So let's just dive right into it. I'm going to start from bottom to top. Typically, that's what I do. A few fights that pique my interest on the lower portion of the card: Curtis Millender versus CR Bahadurzada, or however you sipping no scissor sipping, like however the hell you say his name, but that's going to be a good fight. That's one to look out for. I'm actually quite interested in that. I need to actually make sure I DVR the prelims and go back and watch the fight pass prelims, because a lot of these UFC cards lately, I haven't been interested in the prelims or the fight pass prelims, but this is one damn good card. You know, especially when you talk about outside of the main event, there's a lot of good fights just sprinkled in outside of the main card. So that's one fight I'm looking out for. And mind you, this is the first time I'm looking at the full main card, and actually the full fight card, really. Uriah Hall versus Bevan Lewis. When I see this, I'm like, damn, Uriah Hall, you done fell way down on the damn prelims, and you fighting a dude named Bevan Lewis. He's 6-0. Okay, cool. Who knows? He might be really good. Look, I know some of you hardcores out there like, you don't know who Bevan Lewis is, dog. What's wrong with you? Now, chill. I don't know who the hell Bevan Lewis is. And Uriah Hall is fighting him way down in the prelims. This says a lot about Uriah Hall. Shame on him. But I'll be looking out for that fight. Another fight I'll be looking out for is BJ Penn versus Ryan Hall. And I'm just like, damn, BJ Penn, you can't just let it go, man. It's like BJ Penn coming back to fight again is like that old dude in the club with the fake hairline. You know what I'm saying? That he just keeps coming back. Everyone knows he's old. Everyone know his hairline is fake. He's using all the resources he can to get chicks. BJ Penn, man, just let your career be what it is, man. You're still a legend, even though, I mean, you've been losing lately. People still have a lot of respect for you. And you know the worst part about this for BJ Penn would be if Ryan Hall actually submitted BJ Penn. That would be some icing on the cake type shit right there, is if BJ Penn got submitted by Ryan Hall. Now, if that would have happened, BJ Penn, please, they shouldn't even let him back in Hawaii if he allows that to happen. They need to send his ass to Alaska, somewhere Madagascar or something, because that's going to be a real bad look. And really, shoot, if Ryan Hall just beats BJ Penn, period, that's a bad look. I mean, when you think about BJ Penn and how old he is now, I think he should still have enough left to beat Ryan damn Hall. You know what I'm saying? The dude barely got any stand-up. His grappling is phenomenal. But and his takedown defense sucks. And BJ Penn is normally known to have good takedown defense. So we'll see what happens in that fight. Kat Zingano versus Megan Anderson. That's an interesting fight. A fight for Kat where, I mean, look, she needs to get something rolling. You know, she's had injuries after injury, losses after losses, and she's trying to actually put her career back on track. I mean, she was like skyrocketing, and then she ran into Ronda Rousey and got caught in that fluke submission, and that was just a total bad look for her. So I don't know. I'm only gonna hope that she can win. I'm not gonna jump out here and be like, go Cat, go Cat. But another interesting fight on the prelims is Arlovsky versus Wall Harris. Wall Harris, he's a slight disappointment. I don't trust this dude. I'm just gonna hope for a good fight. Now let's get into the main card. Chad Mendes versus Alexander Volkanovski. Now, Chad Mendes looked good coming off of his suspension where he knocked out, I can't remember who he knocked out, but he knocked out someone. And, you know, I can't say he looked good doing it. I mean, yes, you can, because the knockout was nice, but we really didn't get to see a lot of Chad Mendes. That's why I'm a little bit critical of him leading into this fight. He has a tough opponent, so this might be good. Depends. I mean, look, the guy Volkanovski, he seems good, but we haven't really seen him against the goods. So we're going to find out here. And if you had to ask me a prediction, I'll just go with Chad Mendes. I really am. I've seen him in there with tougher guys. I've seen him in there with in wars, and I've seen him lose and I've seen him win. So, but I'm going with Chad to win this fight. Corey Anderson versus Ilir Latifi. Now I'm going with Ilir Latifi because I don't trust Corey Anderson's chin fighting against a guy like this. Corey Anderson, he has good wrestling. So does Latifi. He has some decent strikes. So does Latifi, but Latifi has a hell of a lot more power than he does. And I definitely see Corey Anderson get knocked out in the first or second round. Just my opinion. Next fight, Carlos Condit versus Michael Chiesa. Now, this fight, when I saw this, I was like, damn, that's right. This fight is already here. And I'm just thinking to myself, this is one of those BJ Penn, Ryan Hall situations, in my opinion, where if Carlos Condit loses this fight to Michael Chiesa, man, he needs to just retire. Remember when Carlos Condit threatened to retire after he lost to Damian Maia or something like that? And I was like, dang, you know how we all were like, man, Carlos, don't go, man. We gonna miss you, man. Like, you still got a lot left, man. You still young, man. Now, if you lose to Michael Chiesa, who's moving up to welterweight, this is a bad look for you, man. So, in my prediction, I'm picking Carlos Condit with the hopes that he actually pulls it out. So, mind you, I'm just giving you guys a little fair warning. A lot of my prediction here in this prediction of this fight card are emotional. I'm gonna be real with y'all. I'm not gonna come out and sugarcoat and lie and put a smoke and mirror tactic in front of your face and have you guys actually believe some of the stuff that I'm actually saying. Half of what I'm saying, I believe, but when it comes to the predictions, I'm being emotional. I'm just gonna let y'all know that right now, which leads me into my next predictions. So basically, my next two predictions are completely emotional. Just want to get that out of the way. But we're still going to talk about these fights. Cyborg versus Amanda Nunes. This fight is going to be a good one. Two Brazilians, champion versus champion, 135, 145. And, of course, Amanda Nunes is moving up to challenge Cris Cyborg's featherweight title. We've only seen Cyborg lose once. I mean, and really, if you've ever seen that fight, congratulations. But we've seen her also lose in kickboxing. Now, look, I'm really going out on the limb with this fight because initially I'm like Cyborg's going to win, and I still kind of feel that Cyborg's going to win, but I want Amanda Nunes to win. I just like something fresh. I like to mix something up. It gets a little boring to me as a fight fan when the dominant champion is just winning and winning and winning, and you really don't see any light at the end of the tunnel for them or any competition. I just want someone to get in there and spice it up, just like with Demetrius Johnson, just like with Anderson Silva, just like with GSP. I was like, man, can someone do something with these dudes, please? Now, Amanda Nunes, she definitely has the tools to do so. She's a good striker. She's aggressive at times, and she has decent wrestling and grappling. So I'm actually curious to see what her game plan will be because Cyborg is uber aggressive. Like, she's dangerously aggressive. Now, in her aggression in some of her fights, I've seen that she can get clipped and she can get touched because Cyborg doesn't have the best defense. Let's just be honest. She really doesn't. Now, I'm going to also go out on the limb and say that I've got Amanda Nunes knocking out Cyborg. I can see Cyborg coming in crazy. Amanda Nunes being able to crack a lot harder than the girl she's fought before and clipping her, dropping her, and then finishing her on the mat. Or Cyborg gets clipped. She anxiously gets back up to her feet and is a little bit stumble, and Amanda Nunes just clips her with more shots. I can see this happening. Will it happen? I guess I'll just keep my fingers crossed for the sake of my prediction, and we'll just keep it at that. But this is going to be a good fight for however long it lasts. I don't know how long this fight's going to last. I'm just going to hope we can get a good one. I hope it's not one of these fights where Amanda Nunes goes out there, gets bullied, gets railroaded, and gets run through just like some X-Lax. I hope that's not the case. I hope Amanda Nunes can make this an actual good fight because I'm just gonna be greedy. I'm just being a greedy fight fan. I just want to see a good fight. That's what it is at the end of the day. I want to see a good fight. I'm just gonna be greedy. So let's just hope she can do it, and we'll just move right on to the main event. But the thing is, before I even move on to the main event, because I'm breezing through these fights. pretty fast. And then before I go any further, I was supposed to try and have my buddy Mike the Idiot come on and do some of these predictions for me. And he also wanted to talk about the whole John Jones situation with his whole test. And he doesn't believe it. He's not a believer. Not to say that I am a believer in, Nowitzki and USADA and California State Athletic Commission. I'm not saying that I'm a believer, but I wanted him to get on here and speak his case because he says he has a valid argument as to why John Jones is why he thinks John Jones is still cheating. But this fight with Amanda Nunes and Cyborg, this is going to be a good fight. I hope, and like I say, I'm keeping my fingers crossed, and I only hope that Amanda Nunes can make this competitive. Please make this competitive, because a lot of her last fights outside of the Holly Holm fight have not been competitive. They've been one-way traffic. These girls have been getting railroaded, and I hope that Amanda Nunes can pull this off. I really hope that she's ready. I really do, because she seems confident. We see this a lot with fighters. They'll go into fights. They're very, very confident. They say they're going to do this. They say they're going to do that. But then once they get in there, it's a totally different story. They're not living up to their word. They get cracked once, then they fold. They get hit with a good shot, then they start thinking about other things. They start thinking about the flight back home. They start thinking about their loved ones, thinking about their future later and things like that. And I'm just like, come on, man, please. And I understand, I get it. I'm not going to go into it, but I get it. But that leads me to the main event. So we all know what happened. John Jones, something happened from a test earlier this month. I think it was like December 6th or December 9th or something like that. And they moved this fight from Las Vegas to the Forum in LA, in Inglewood. And a lot of people are upset, rightfully so. Fans, other athletes on this card. I mean, look, there are tons of people upset. Here's the thing. I'm not upset, because this is what we have come to expect of John Jones. You know what I'm saying? Like, how much more are you going to be surprised by John Jones? Let's just be honest, guys. Like, do you really want to still be surprised by the antics and the defiance and the behavior of John Jones? Like, come on, man. Just accept the dude for what he is. Don't be surprised that this test pops up. How many times have something came up on fight week with John Jones? Like, how many times? You know what I'm saying? You remember the whole Chael Sonnen thing? He didn't want to take the fight. Then they canceled the card. Then this happened. Then the one thing happened. I think it was UFC. What was it? 200 or one of those July 4th fight cards, it fell through. Then I think a couple other fight cards, something happened with John Jones during fight week or within the last 2 weeks of a fight. Man, there's always something, man. So I can't be upset. Like, when I heard this news, I just chuckled. I was like, again, huh? You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you want me to say at this point? I'm not here to argue whether he's still cheating or not, which leads me into my prediction, because now that I'm armed with this little tidbit of information, and if you haven't watched the video that I did, I sort of talked about Jones Gustafsson too. I think it was like over a month ago. I dropped a video. Maybe I'll leave a link to that video in the bio, or not in the bio, but in the description. I'm thinking like I'm talking on Instagram right now. But in that video, I said Gustafsson has a good chance of beating John Jones. Now, me saying all that in that video leads me to this. I think he's going to knock out John Jones. And I'm going to be honest, I hope that he knocks out John Jones. This would be the worst if John Jones would get his hands on this belt, just for the uncertainty of the light heavyweight division. Because look, this pops up and he's on this comeback fight, right? Fight week, something happens, right? Let's say this guy gets the belt. Something crazy happens again, he gets stripped. Now the belt's left in limbo again. But the thing is, I know a lot of people wanted to see John Jones win just to see him fight DC. Now, look, I don't give a damn about him fighting DC anymore. That ship has sailed for me. I really don't care what happens in that matchup anymore. DC's legacy is cemented. I don't think he needs to defeat John Jones in order to make his claim as best light heavyweight ever, or the GOAT. You know, any of that nonsensical talk. Like, I really don't care about that anymore. DC, look, he's done what he needs to do. And I'm going to be honest, I think DC can beat Jon Jones. When you look at the first fight, you can see how it could have been more competitive with DC. And then you look into the second fight, DC was winning a lot of the rounds, and it's arguable that DC was winning the fight up until the point that he got knocked out. So I'm going to be honest. I think DC can beat Jon Jones. Now, the reason I'm saying Alexander Gustafsson is going to not only defeat Jon Jones, but knock him out is that he's been out for a while. We saw him come off of that long layoff against OSP. Lackluster performance. Could it be just Jon Jones just trying to get the rounds in? That's possible. Could it be that Jon Jones knew what he was up against and he didn't face any immediate danger and he just wanted to coast? That's quite possible. But let's say what I've just said was false. And let's just say none of that was true. That's not going to be good for Jon Jones in this fight against Gustafsson. Those types of hiccups, you're not going to be able to afford those because Gustafsson, since their first fight, has gotten a lot better. And of course, so has Jon Jones. But the weapons that I've seen Gustafsson use since their first fight, to me, it favors more of Alexander Gustafsson. It leans more towards him in this fight. Now, of course, we saw the wrestling in the first fight. He got a few takedowns against Jon Jones. I chalk that up as element of surprise, and I always tell you guys about that. Element of surprise is a dangerous one when you're talking about the fight game, and when someone's fighting someone for the first time, the elements of surprise is very important because if you can throw out a wrinkle in your game that no one's ever seen before, especially your opponent, because they game plan, they study your tape, and they go and look for tendencies and certain tells that you have within your style, and they look to attack and exploit them. But if you could just show another wrinkle, add an element of surprise them, and maybe finish them, or have that where it's a tide turning pivotal moment in the fight where if you display this wrinkle, it could tip the whole thing in your favor. Look, that's what the whole thing is about. It's a chess match, not checkers. So are there any wrinkles that Gus has that we haven't seen? I'm going to be honest. I don't think so. But he polished a lot of things that he has done before. A lot of the things that he did before, he does them a lot better now. Now, when you talk about Jon Jones, are there new wrinkles that he may have that Gus has never seen before? Yeah, because Jon Jones is just ultimately creative. Like, he's very creative. He's always showing new tricks and new this and that. So yes, that is a good possibility that we could see something new. Ooh, sorry, cold chill. But what up, y'all? I see y'all in the chat over here. What's up? How y'all doing? Merry Christmas, you know what I'm saying? But let's get back to this fight. So one thing I think Jon Jones needs to do in order to be successful in this fight, he needs to wrestle. Now, we saw in the first fight that he wasn't successful in the wrestling. Now, look, it is what it is with the wrestling. Look, he wasn't able to get Gus down. He had some good takedown defense, things like that, whatever. But he's going to have to initiate some wrestling. I don't think it's in Jon Jones's best interest to only strike with Gustafsson because that's what he does best. Usually, Jon Jones, what he tries to do is he tries to best his opponents in what they do best. In this scenario, I don't think that's the best idea. Jon Jones, one thing that I do like if he does try and do that against Gus is that I like how he mixes up his elbows, his kicks, and all of that. Gustafsson, he primarily favors the hands. We've seen him, like I say, doing a little bit extra, but like I say, it's almost like it's the same old Gus. It's just enhanced a lot. Will that a lot be enough to beat Jon Jones and knock him out? Like I said, we'll see. I think it's a possibility. And that's if Jon Jones doesn't come in on 10. Now, look, if you ask Jon Jones, he's been saying all week and in things leading up to the fight that he is feeling A-okay. He's going to knock this dude out. He's going to finish Gustafsson. They've been going back and forth ever since this whole nonsense of the test. and all that stuff. Now that this is materialized, they've been going back and forth on social media, and so has John and DC. So, and shoot, a lot of other fighters have been sending shots John's way. I mean, rightfully so. I mean, it is what it is. But look, man, you got to roll with the punches. I hope everyone keeps their head on straight. Don't let this distract from the mission. And this, man, dude, John Jones, look, I'm real curious. The UFC should probably do a figure, and I'm sure they probably have this figure. They could find it easily, I'm sure. What is the figure of John Jones and how much money he has cost the UFC versus how much money he has brought the company? Now, from what I remember, John Jones wasn't the biggest draw. So when you talk about how much money John Jones brings in versus how much he costs the UFC, asset liability, I don't know. I mean, you guys, let me know in the comments. Like, what do you think? Is he an asset for the company or is he a liability? Because he's had a card scrap before. He's now had this card moved to LA last minute. I'm sure they're not going to be able to make as much money on the gate as they would have in Las Vegas for this event. Also, who knows how many people are going to actually show up to the fight. I know the forum is a little bit smaller than the T-Mobile Arena. So this is really tricky. This is a real tricky one. So I'm sure both of those guys, Gus and John, they're set to make a lot of money being the main event and this being a title bout. And it's not a good look. So I'm not sure if the UFC is just going to bite this one and just say, hey, hopefully try and recoup on the next one or whatever. But shoot, John better be careful. John might, I mean, for real though, I just thought about this. John might better be careful because he might end up on a televised card. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? He might end up on one of them ESPN cards. He said, why does John need to wrestle? Because, well, I guess I explained that already. Yeah, Gus has been out. His last fight was Teixeira, which I think was 2017. I don't think we saw John in 2017. If we did, it was probably July. I don't know. But I just don't trust John off of this big layoff. But look, man, it's John. He's a competitor. Who knows, man? What are you asking, Daniel Cooley? What do you think Gus does better than John? I think he boxes better than John. I think he boxes better. And if John is smart, he could take advantage. Not John, but if Gus is smart, he can take advantage of that. I like what I've seen out of Gus in his strikes lately. I don't like that he's able to get hit. He's a hittable guy. Gus is a hittable guy. So, but here's the thing. John isn't the most powerful, most explosive puncher either. He isn't the most devastating striker either. He's not an Anthony Rumble Johnson. So, you know, hey, and Gus has been in there with the guy before, but that's not to say that he can't just get flatlined right now. John has a good chin. So look, me saying that John's going to get knocked out, that's saying a lot. You know what I mean? That's saying a lot. But I'm willing to go out there. I'm willing to risk it all. You know what I'm saying? Because, hey, man, I just want some change. You know what I'm saying? I just want some change. But, you know what I'm saying? So that's going to wrap up my predictions, guys. Leave yours in the comments below. Let me know. I'm sorry. Like I said earlier when this thing started, I'm sorry I did not get this out to you sooner. I meant to do it last week, but I've been busy. What can I say? But it's been your man, the MMA realist. I'm signing out. I'm about to get me some sleep. And Christmas is about to be here in 7 minutes, and my kids are asleep. So I need to be asleep. I'll holla.